surprising if the girl blinded me with something. I know.
Hi, good evening everyone. My name's Brian Sika and I'm the principal of the Health and Science School. I want to start off just by thanking you all for your interest in attending our school and being part of our community. Tonight we're going to go through a couple of things and I thought I'd explain those ahead of time. As you can see, you're in a pretty small group. Hopefully there's only about 20 or 25 of you in one room. And what we're trying to do is give you a little bit of a taste or mimic what a structure we have called crew is all about. So tonight, for about the next hour, you're going to be with this same group of people, with these same student ambassadors, and with the same staff leader to get to know a little bit about our school. The way this will work is we're going to have a brief introduction through this video. Then we'll ask you to participate in what we call an opening circle. And we do that to kind of get to know everyone in the room and really frame our night around a particular reading or a particular piece of information. And that's exactly the same things that your students will be doing multiple times a week next school year. Once we finish with our opening circle, then we will ask you to go and tour the school. And the students in your crew right now will take you on that tour. You'll have about 10 different stops. Half of the stops will be what we call active stops, led by a staff member giving you kind of direct information. The other 5 stops we call passive stops, and what you'll be able to do is read information about them, look at the things, talk to the students, but there won't necessarily be a presentation. Once you finish with your tour, we'll ask you to come back into this very room and ask some questions to the students and then finish in a circle again, really to close out your time with your crew here. As you transition to the next part of the evening following your closing circle, you'll have an opportunity to sign up for shadows. What shadows are times for your students to come to visit HS2 again during this school year, participate in a current student schedule, and get to know us all a little bit better. You'll do that by completing an electronic form. You can do so using your own smartphone or iPad if you brought one, or you can use one of the ones that are in the back of this classroom. Following that, we'll have about another hour of open time. And what you can do during that time is revisit any of the stations that you stopped if you would like to get more information. You can interact with the teaching staff that'll be here. Just ask them questions, really whatever you want to know about the staff. Or you can come into the auditorium where I'll be, and I'd be happy to answer any questions or really just help you understand the school a little bit better. I'd just like to point out a few of the papers that we had for you tonight. One is the FAQ document, kind of a frequently asked questions. What you'll see there are just a lot of the logistical and kind of simple answer questions that we get quite often as students are thinking of enrolling with us. Please feel free to read through that. If your question's not answered, either stop by the auditorium tonight and talk to me, or just go ahead and call the front office at any time and they'd be happy to answer that for you. There's also a letter from a gentleman named Ron Berger, and it was something he published in a publication called Ed Week, and this was a few years ago. And it describes the 3 dimensions that we use to really quantify or really understand the student achievement that's going on in our schools. What we really believe is that education here goes well beyond one number, and well beyond one number maybe from one test. Our students do very well on their state tests here. This last school year, we were in the top 10% of all schools in Oregon as far as overall academic is concerned, and that really comes from either the state test scores and their graduation rates. But we also believe in things like character development, character growth, as well as students always producing high quality work. So I'd like you to take a few minutes to go ahead and read that article. We also have a little bit more information about expeditionary learning, about Project Lead the Way, and some of the other things that makes us unique. So hopefully you'll enjoy your time tonight. Again, if you have any questions, make sure to stop by the auditorium and see me as we go ahead and close the evening. Partnership with EL Education helps us paint the picture of the type of school that we want to be. We want to make sure our students realize that learning is an active process, that you can't learn without collaborating with your peers, that if the learning doesn't have meaning for you, it's much less valuable, that learning needs to be public, that we need to make sure that what we do inside the doors of our school are useful to our outer community. And learning certainly needs to be challenging. And above all else, we want to make sure that the students that are with us are measured not by one single instrument, but by really the body of work that they produce. And that work comes from traditional school grades, test scores, but that work also comes from the type of character they show, and that work comes from the type of products they produce. Hopefully you can see examples of that tonight, one through this video that you're all about to see. We're committed to having every single student that comes through our doors ready to be able to think, act, know, and go. We offer them a well-rounded education with a lens on either the health careers or science fields.
All freshmen coming to our school take an introductory engineering class, and I feel I have 1 year to kind of get them hooked in engineering.
Ever since I was little, I always knew I was interested in science and math, so my mom actually suggested that health and science might be a good school, and I was a little unsure, but I decided to go for it.
Minjin, along with other Beaverton Health and Science School students, took advantage of the internship opportunities available with local companies.
Our mission tells us that we're not simply a school where students come to us. Part of our job is literally to kick students out of here. And what we mean by that is we're going to make sure we have opportunities for students to experience their learning in relevant, real-world settings.
We are one of the 3 large companies in the world that build software to build electronics. So anything you have in your house with electronics, and it's going to have something from us. We have a number of different internship programs, and the company invests quite heavily in ensuring that we're passing along what we know to the younger generation, but also making them prepared to enter this field should they choose to.
Through Mentor Graphics, Kaiser, Red Cross, and all these other organizations, I've been so grateful for having all these different opportunities. I'm not the only one. Everyone at Health and Science, they have a fair chance.
Your employees are going to learn more about themselves probably than they realize in teaching those kids. It really turns around your thinking to what you know versus what you need to learn.
Minjin also participated in the Community Engagement and Leadership in Science program at Lewis and Clark College. This project, funded by the Howard Hughes Medical Institute, provided Minjin with an 8-week summer internship job where she learned about science and about real life.
I went to work at the same time my parents were going to work. I would come home the same time they came home. I felt really independent. I felt like an adult. It was really different.
We live in a type of economy where they want people to come in with experience. And I think having an internship program and having partnerships in the community allows students to get those types of opportunities before they even graduate.
They get to first imagine themselves as scientists and be scientists for a time while they're working on this project.
That process sometimes is kind of enlightening, making you smile, making you have a aha moment. And that's the most exciting part.
And you can't become something if you can't first imagine yourself as that thing.
We feel that every single student in the Beaverton School District could benefit from a STEM-based education. We have students who are passionate in poetry, who are just passionate in art, and what they're able to do is find a career path that's in STEM where they can really excel. I really enjoy watching that video, and it reminds me of all of the fantastic accomplishments of our students. There's just 2 things in the video I'd like to make sure I highlight, make sure that you were able to see. And one is our internship program. We partner with a number of community organizations such as Mentor Graphics, Kaiser Westside Medical Center, the Edwards Center, and really engineering and medical professionals across the community. And we partner with them to allow our students to have these year-long or even multi-year experiences with them. They're able to see firsthand and really apply their learning firsthand to real-world applications. The other is our work through Project Lead the Way. Project Lead the Way is a national curriculum developer. And we're nationally certified in two programs of study through this partnership. One is engineering and the other is biomedical sciences. And throughout these programs, there's really two things that students will do. They'll begin in the 6th grade where they'll take modules throughout their middle school classes aimed at preparing them for their high school experience. These modules might be design and automation, a robotics unit, energy in the environment, flight in space, and a real favorite's called medical detectives, where students investigate crime scenes, a lot like that CSI show that you see on TV. The other really significant piece is the end of Project Lead the Way. Their senior year, students are required to present, develop, and design around a significant problem, and we expect them to go ahead and fix that problem. Last year, 3 of our students went as far as to be awarded provisional patents from the United States government for their designs. I'd like you to just sit back for another few minutes and watch another student's rendition of a video of our engineering program.
At Health and Science High School, Project Lead the Way helps women in the engineering field have a voice and equality.
Girls come in with some inhibitions and often come into the class perhaps feeling like they take a back row to some of the boys in the class. But I found that if I can get the girls to feel like they can do stuff, they actually come up with very creative solutions and can do very well in the engineering program.
Being in a field that's dominated by males can be sometimes overwhelming, but I just feel like I need to prove myself more. I would like to change the stereotype that engineering is an all-male field, and I don't really care that much if a product I design helps somebody or something else, but I'd like to change that stereotype.
Honestly, Mr. Baker has been a big influence on me. When I went into the school, I thought I was going to take the medical track and be doing all the doctory stuff. After I took my first of the engineering courses, I just got super hooked on it, and it was really interesting for me.
So the first task I have is to get students into engineering and to get girls to feel like they can be successful in engineering. I feel like once I get them there, that they, I have 1 year intro to engineering design to get girls to think about engineering careers.
One of the main things I would do about making women more in engineering, making it so that when we talk about women, we talk about them as equals instead of when we're talking about engineering, be all like, there's that woman in engineering and stuff like that, because it's really frustrating being referred to by the guys in my class as like that girl in their engineering class. What my group is doing is we're trying to make a device to be able to get rid of at least 50% of smoke coming off of the side and mainstream of somebody smoking cigarettes. And that's kind of important because the environment and people with asthma and secondhand smoke and all that jazz. So what we're doing with this is going to be like the capsule part, and we're going to be putting filters in here.
Being a cheerleader and being in the science field, there really is no difference. I'm still the same person. I just like math.
Hopefully, if I'm lucky, I will be able to be in a position where I get to help the world and help young girls be able to see that they can be whatever they want to be, which is a big deal. That would be really amazing.
Thanks to instructors like Tom Baker and programs like Project Lead the Way, the next generation of female engineers will be inspired like Hannah and Angela. This has been Danya Daniel for Student Reporting Lab.
So remember that our Project Lead the Way program is not only engineering. We have an equally impressive program in our biomedical sciences pathway. Hopefully tonight you'll get to see some pieces of that, some examples and some evidence of that. We just don't have another video to show you right now. Well, hopefully in these last few minutes and through the videos that I showed you, you were able to get a little bit of an idea of what we're all about here at HS2. We're about your children, we're about the students sitting here, and we're about making sure that every student that walks through our doors is able to meet their goals and will become truly the leaders of our community. So what I'd like you to do now is please stand up and form a circle. we ask you to form a well-constructed, well-developed circle that helps us get to know each other, know the new members of our community that you're becoming, and really ground us in a central reading. I'll be out and about tonight joining you on your tours, as well as ready for whatever questions you have around 7 o'clock in the auditorium. Thank you so much for your time. I'll see you in a few minutes.